You're listening to She's the Business podcast.
Doesn't it seem like every week there are more and more online experts popping up all over the internet, all with advice, opinions, special methods, things they say, don't do this instead. It's really, really noisy and you can get sucked into it, right? There is so much going on there. So today I wanted to simplify this down, help you to shut out some of the noise that's not serving you and tune into what it is that really can turn your marketing into sales with more simplicity, less fuss, less hassle, and far less stress. So stay tuned, it's coming right up.
Hi, I'm your host, Jessica Osborne, and in my 23 years of business and marketing, I've built many brands to become multi-billion-dollar companies. And just in the last 10 years, I've built 2 online businesses of my own from my dining room table with 2 little babies running around at my feet. I've made it my mission to inspire you to get out of your own way and become the successful business owner who's living the lifestyle you really desire without all the hustle. This is She's the Business podcast, made by women for women. This is your weekly dose of motivation and inspiration.
Now, if you're a coach, a consultant, or a service-based business owner, and you're really tired of being told to do this or that, implementing someone else's method, all of the steps, and then still finding that it's really, really hard to attract the right clients. You're not hitting your profit goals, you're miles away from it, and it's all just feeling super time consuming and hard work. And maybe you just don't even like what they've told you to do. Like maybe they've said, go and cold DM people who you find on Instagram, and you are just not in that energetic space of the cold DM. Well, guess what? This just means that instead of following someone's method, which has worked for them, it's actually about defining your core strategy that underpins these methods that you might use and actually makes any method you choose successful. So you can choose the ones that you like the best. Imagine that. You don't have to do those cold DMs at all. In fact, I highly recommend not doing it. You can choose whatever works for you, and also knowing how to choose the right thing so that you've got a flow with no gaps, with no breaks in the journey where people are just dropping through that hole and never making it through to the end. Well, yes, there is a way to do that, right? This is called a strategic framework where you've got the pieces and there's a way that you put it together, you connect these pieces so that there is flow in your business, so there's alignment with you and alignment with your goals. And this framework I've developed is called the Jam Plan. I offer it to you inside Business Jam, which is my program. Now, this is a coaching program with online content, with live coaching, with training, and with a beautiful supportive community, which I think is so important, that you're not with all this information and figuring it out on your own and feeling like, well, am I doing it right? Am I not doing it right? What is going on? Actually having other people who are there with you, who have similar businesses, who can be your cheer squad, who can give you that support, motivation, and actually also give you some real good feedback as well as getting advice and coaching, of course, from me in the program. Now, that's all waiting for you inside Business Jam. The doors currently, right this moment, are closed. However, they will be opening again, and sooner than you really know. They'll be coming up really soon. So get your name on the wait list now. Now, I have a priority wait list, and this priority wait list is for those who think, I really want to be first. I like to be first in line. I like to get the best seats. I like to have all of the best things, the VIP room at the club with the champagne and the canapes. I like that kind of treatment. Well, if that's you, get your name on the priority waitlist, please. And you will be first in line. You'll be first to know. There will be some extra things coming your way that the people who are in the main line won't know about. So get your name on the priority waitlist. You will be first to hear about Business Jam when it's opening next, and to be the first ones are able to take that step forward and come into my inner circle and really think about, well, it might not be right for you, but you'll be able to make that choice because you'll be there, you'll be hearing about it before anybody else. So no obligation, of course. You can just put your name on the list. You can still decide at the time whether it's right for you, whether you want to join or not. But by putting your name on the list, it means that you're obviously going to be first and best dressed if you decide to take that step forward. So head over to jessicaosborne.com/business jam waitlist and get your name on the list. I've dropped that link as well below for you in the show notes. So you can go ahead and click on that and get your name on the list right now. And look out for the first goodies that come your way as the VIPs on my priority list.
Hello, beautiful people. Welcome to today's podcast. This one is all about why your marketing isn't producing sales and what you can do about it. Now, I thought that this would be a great topic to deep dive into based on quite a few conversations I've had recently with my clients, with new people who've joined me in Business Jam, and they're just exhausted. They're literally burnt. I'm not going to say they're totally burnt out, but they are feeling so scrambled, so confused, frustrated, all of those things about the marketing that they're doing because they're putting out all this energy. They're spending energy to market business. And what they're seeing in return is, people saying, hey, this is awesome, or I really like your stuff, but nobody's actually reaching out to buy. And their big question is, what am I doing wrong? What am I saying? Am I on the wrong platform? And usually the first thing that happens when we're in this space is we start to look for the problem to solve. And generally we dive straight into, okay, what is it? Maybe it's the algorithm is working against me and I need to figure out a different way. Maybe I'm not posting enough. Maybe my brand or my messaging and something in it that they don't like, and that's why it's not working. And then, of course, you'll be scrolling on your social media and there'll be somebody there saying, hey, I just grew my audience by 100 people overnight from TikTok. So all of a sudden you're like, oh, maybe I should be on TikTok and be over there. And then someone else is telling you that their success thing is a podcast. And you start thinking, well, maybe I've got to start a podcast. And then the next person's telling you, everybody's still on Facebook. You need to be doing Facebook. And what happens is we get to this point where there are all of the should. There's someone telling you should be doing pretty much everything that there could possibly be to market your business. And it starts to feel extremely heavy. Of course, if you're a small business, if you're a solopreneur or you've got maybe a really small team supporting you, you've probably not got the capacity actually to be everywhere. And maybe some of the people that you look up to, some of the mentors or the big players in the online space, they seem to be doing lots of things and you will think, well, you should be doing what they're doing, right? Except that they've got a much bigger team to support them. So if this is you and you're in that place where you are one or a few people and you're thinking, it's not working, I'm doing lots of things, or maybe you're even in a place like some of my clients where it's just feeling so hard to even start. Where do you even start? Because there's so much advice out there. It feels like you should do it all. And as we all know, that's just not realistic, is it? So the first thing that I want to say is if you're in that place, hey, guess what? It's okay. Every tactic works. So we don't need to be looking for which is the one that's going to work. They all work, right? So it's not about trying to find what is the one that'll work and jumping from, one person's shiny object story or magic overnight success and thinking you need to jump over there next or jump there. It's not about trying and getting out there and doing it all or being in that place. It's really more about what is the right ones for you. What are the right ones for you to, because when you know that they all actually work, it's not the tactic itself that's the problem or that's the magic formula. It's not the secret sauce that's suddenly going to bring you the clients. Guess what the secret sauce is? It's you, okay? And when you're in a place where you feel confident, where you've got able to share your voice and actually really become that light that you can draw people in, then you are the secret sauce that makes the marketing work. And while you're in a place that doesn't feel aligned, that is feeling hard and really not you, then why do you think it's not working? One of my clients recently said that in a previous program that she'd been in, the person said, the way that you sell is you're on social media and you slip into people's DMs and you just basically start selling to them there and inviting them and sending them links. And that works. Sure, it does. There is no question that all of these tactics work. But for my client, she was like, well, that doesn't feel good. I don't want to be slipping into people's DMs because I don't like it when people slip into my DMs and start selling to me. So I don't want to be that person for somebody else. And yes, exactly, right? So if you're already feeling that, imagine what happens when you go and then try to do it. It's not the right thing for you because it's out of alignment with your energy, it's out of alignment with who you are. You already don't like it. So can you imagine what happens when you do slip into someone's DMs already feeling awkward and kind of a bit cheesy and sleazy? Well, it's going to come across the awkwardness, the cheesiness, and the like put on sleaziness that's not even really you. And that person at the other end is probably going to be feeling that a lot. Now, the good news is you don't need to be in that place. So as I was saying, we can actually select the activities that you want to use in your business that feel good to you. Now, you might sit there and be thinking to me, hey, Jess, are you just saying I can be a cop-out and not push myself out of my comfort zone, not do things that are hard or, that are new? And no, I'm not saying that at all. Yes, you will try new things. Yes, you will do something new in your comfort zone, even if you're following what I'm saying. My premise is you can select the ways that feel good to you. Now, here's an example of what this might look like. So a few months back, one of my clients said, well, things are feeling really hard right now. And I said, well, why is that? Why is it feeling hard? She said, well, I've got to start writing blogs. I said, okay, well, why do you need to start writing blogs? She said, well, I know that I need to put content out there. I said, why is it feeling hard? She said, well, sitting down to write and it just takes so long and it's a big effort to do it. And so just the actual thought she had in her mind was, I've got to sit down and write these blogs. It was just feeling really heavy and like a huge task. And for her, it was actually preventing her from even getting started with it because it felt so heavy. And here's how we worked through that, because I said to her, well, okay, what was the purpose of the blog? She said, to put content out there. I said, why do you want content out there? Well, of course, it's to be able to have some visibility, gain more reach new people, have them find me, all of the reasons why we might produce content and put it out. And I said to her, well, have you considered that there might be other ways of doing it? What would feel easy to you if you wanted to create some content for people to consume? What would feel easy? Is it easy for you to write? Is it easy to speak? Is it easy to, what do you feel like is your way? And she's like, oh, yeah, I hadn't even really thought about that, because it does feel really light and easy for me to actually say what it is I want to say. So I said, well, what if you could sit on your couch, turn the camera on and say it in the space of, 5 minutes, like create a short video. And she was like, yeah, that actually feels really easy. Like, well, there you go. That's going to get you the same outcome as writing a blog, except you're doing it in a way that now felt completely easy for her. There were no barriers because she felt that speaking was a much more aligned and flowing way for her to have her creativity comes out. She was more aligned to speaking her message than writing it. Now, that's not going to be the same for everybody, of course. Some people might be like, well, writing is easy. But that's an example for you about why it's not about the thing itself. It's actually more, let's get back to where are your strengths? Where does your energy lie? What feels really good to you? And what is not as hard for you to do? Of course, there's going to be effort involved in anything that you do, right? But let's choose the things that you're not going to be having on your to-do list and be putting off day after day after week after week after week, and be therefore berating yourself over and over again and saying, I should be doing this, I should be doing that. and you're still not doing it. Well, the reason why you're not doing it when it happens is not because of the thing and not because you don't understand the value in it. Otherwise, you wouldn't be telling yourself you should be doing it, right? It's actually because there's something deeper in there. There's something that is feeling hard for you, and your subconscious is automatically trying to avoid this thing. You've got some sort of deterrent from it. It's not the right thing. So let's find a different way there. There are more than one ways to reach the goal that it is that you're wanting to solve with your marketing activity. So the important thing that I'd like to say, and bringing it back to the topic of this conversation, why it is that your marketing isn't producing sales, is one of the biggest mistakes I see people doing, and it's leading them to this feeling of exhaustion when it comes to marketing, is that they've got activities that they're doing, and yes, each one on its own is strategic and each one is beneficial, but there's no connection between them. So for example, this is a really classic case that I've had with many clients who, that come to me. They might be posting on social media. They're writing an email to their list. What else? That's the general two things. They might be also writing a blog as well. But they're generally doing these different pieces of marketing, and they're saying, well, nothing's working. And I was like, okay, well, how are these pieces connected? Like, what is it that the social media is doing that's supporting the email? And usually they're sitting there thinking, well, that none of them are connected. They're all just different ways of communicating. So therefore, they've got 3, 4, 5, depending on how many platforms they're on producing content, 5, 6 different streams of activity that are happening alongside each other, but not leveraging each other. And there's no flow between them. So each one is not setting up the other. And usually what we can do is reduce the amount of things that they're doing, but make them more intentional, and actually, more importantly, align them to create sales. And you might be thinking, okay, Jess, how do I actually create the sales from it? And it's not about your content being consistently pitching. We all know what it feels like when you see a social media post that, hey, who wants to buy this? Or, hey, I've got this offer and it's about this. If you're doing that all the time, it's going to get really, really tiresome really quickly for your audience. However, everything you're putting out there can actually be leading someone towards your offer. And so what we do inside Business Jam, inside my program, is help you to see the alignment between your messaging, your marketing activities and what you're putting out there, and your offer. So everything that you're actually putting out there should have a thread, a connection point, whatever you want to call it. So I like to imagine that there are threads joining things, but there is a connection between that post you've just created and your offer, which means that the people that it's reaching, who are resonating with it and who are thinking this is fantastic, it is building desire for working with you, which means that it will generate sales. Now, most people aren't doing that. They're putting out things that are value, they're teaching, they're educating in their content. They are, talking to their topic, of course, or sometimes they're creating things that they think their audience will want and hoping that this builds trust and authority in the space, and therefore they'll come to them for the offer. But there's a big chunk missing, because if all your content is doing is creating authority on a topic, but that person who's reading it and who's reading what you do still isn't really sure what it is that you do, how you work with people, or what that gap is that you're filling, if you're not really setting up your offer, then it makes sense that those marketing activities aren't generating you sales. They're just building an audience for fans who love your stuff. You think, this is wonderful, I love learning from you, but you're giving them everything in the content. There's no desire or set up for the next piece. So bringing this back, the real takeaway points that I want you to have from today's episode are that it's not about doing more. It's actually about being really selective and intentional about the activities you choose to do for marketing. When you've selected them and you've got an activity that's at each stage of the buyer's journey, from stranger to client, your marketing activities should be supporting that person through their decision-making process. So you need to have something there. If there's a break in the journey, then, okay, that person might be lost. They might be stuck at one part of the journey. If there's no connection between your activities, then it's not helping someone go through that journey. The connection as well, alignment to your offer, means that what you're doing, what you're building, when you're creating your content, when you're putting out, you're doing your social media posts, if you're writing a blog, if you're creating videos, if you're even creating podcasts or going and guesting on someone's podcast, these pieces of content should all have a really distinct thread and line to your offer. Not meaning that you're always talking about it, that you're promoting it and telling people to come and sign up with you, but you are setting it up. You're actually showing why that offer exists. And yes, it can be very natural to insert it and mention it in the content, because it's showing, when you're talking about this, why this offer actually exists. It actually, you can be showing them through your content that your offer, the thing that you're promising them, is your way of helping them get from A to B. So I hope that's making sense. Thinking about with our marketing is, instead of, I'm visualizing like that are all individual and unique, and, the more and more we add, just the more pins there are coming out of the cushion. I want to be thinking about it as much more simple and aligned. So it's more like in a flow. So you have one after another, after another, after another. And yes, you will be doing multiples of those, but that they are in a flow together. So there's a linkage between your social media, your email marketing, your lives, whatever you've chosen to do. You may not even need many, many different things. You might only need two. And that creates a linkage, right? That creates connection and flow. We need the people to be able to connect as a stranger, become a lead, and then become a client. And if your activities are set up to do that, then you're going to be seeing a lot more sales with a lot less effort and activity in your marketing, because there is alignment to your offer and between the activities themselves. So there's two sort of parts of alignment there, but these are the places where, when they're broken, when there is no alignment, that's why your marketing isn't producing sales. So I hope this has been a really useful episode for you and given you an insight into, when I'm talking about alignment, this is what we do inside Business Jam. It's showing you the 5 different parts of your strategy and how you connect and align them so that you get the outcome. And I'm really, really passionate about it being more simple. Like, we don't actually need to be doing more. We just need to be selecting the right thing for us. They all work, right? They all will work, and they'll work differently for different people, for sure. So it's about you actually understanding your business, your client, the offer, selecting the activities that have best fit for you and that make it easy. Let's not make life harder for us, business harder for ourselves. Let's make it easier. When it's easy, you're going to have the energy to do it. People will engage with it, and it will be easy for them as well. It's just going to feel like this was meant to be, this happened. Oh, I came across this. It's happened for a reason. How many times I hear that from people? It's awesome. They're like, I came across you and boom, it was just like you were saying the exact thing that I was thinking, and they just knew that they'd come across me for a reason at that point in time. And when you can be doing that, that is showing exactly you're so well aligned to your ideal customer, because they're seeing you as, boom, this is it. This is the thing that I need right now. So I'll wind it up there. I hope you've enjoyed today's episode, and we will be diving back into some more great topics next week. I'll have a guest episode coming up for you next week. And then after that, we will dive into, I want to really talk to you about leads and what leads really are, because I think there's so much confusion around it. So look out for the episode coming up in another 2 weeks' time. Bye for now.
Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of She's the Business podcast. I hope that you've been enjoying it as much as I have in creating the content to bring to you. So I really appreciate you being here. I appreciate your presence and your attention. Now, if you love the podcast, or maybe you just loved today's episode, then I would absolutely appreciate it if you would go to Apple Podcasts, scroll down, hit the 5 stars, and then leave me a short review about what it was that you really enjoyed in this episode, or maybe in the podcast overall. And when I receive those reviews, then I love to give those reviewers a shout out on my future podcast episodes. So you never know, you may hear your name getting a shout out in a future episode if you do that. So thank you once again for your time, and I'll see you next time on She's the Business.